One of the most asked questions is, should I take notes using an iPad or on paper? Hey, my name is Sheriff and welcome to the college route. Today's video we're comparing paper to iPads. I should note, however, that I use an iPad to take notes, so this might be biased. It is biased, it is. So obviously I used paper my entire life until like a year and a half ago. I stopped using paper and I started using an iPad. So now I only use an iPad, and actually for the B-roll where I show you footage, I don't have paper to write on, so I don't know, maybe I'll go out and buy some. No, actually I don't. So yeah, this is a very biased video. So before we even start comparing them, why am I using or saying iPads instead of tablets? Because iPads are just the best. It's not even close. So that's why I'm just using the iPad. Okay, so let me just list the iPad's pros first. It saves space, where you don't need a lot of space for an iPad. Obviously, it's very thin. Very thin, as you can see. With paper, however, you need multiple notebooks. They can get really heavy and they take space. The second pro is going to be organization. It's easier to organize your files in an iPad. This is really up to you. I don't know about you. Do you organize your notebooks? If you do, then this might be irrelevant. For me, they were horrible, so with iPad, they're much better now. The third pro for an iPad Pro, see what I did there? Is that they are easier to modify the data or your notes. It's not like a notebook where if you write something wrong you have to scratch it, or it's just harder to modify the data. The last pro for the iPad is going to be that it's gonna be cheaper in the long term if you get a good deal and if you take care of it. Now let's move on to the iPad cons. Let's get into the negatives. Negative vibes, we don't have them in this channel, but unfortunately we have to in this one. The first con is going to be that it can feel weird at the beginning. This is really subjective. For me, I felt like it was good, but most of my friends, whoever tried it first time, they always say that it feels weird, that they can't really use it. Then when I try it again, it feels better for them. I don't know. Some people did like it first time, like I did, but some people just felt like they're writing on glass and it was harder for them. But if you think about it, as a kid I didn't like how paper felt either. So the second con is going to be that it's gonna be costly if it breaks. Third con is going to be batteries. This is a very legitimate con. This one is probably the deal breaker for many people. Obviously, with an iPad, you'll have to give it some juice every now and then. Even though the battery is pretty good in most iPads, it's still a battery. It's still a battery. You still need to charge it, unlike your notebook. So this is something to look out for. The last con is going to be the distractions. Distractions can be like apps. You can have Instagram on it. Who does that? But I know people do. But you can also surf the web. You can sketch. You can do many things. They can be pros and they can become negatives as well. But also the maintenance. You have to keep updating it. You get what I'm saying? It's not like a notebook. You don't update your notebooks, so. Now let's move on to the paper pros. The first thing is going to be that it's familiar. We know paper. We go way back. Paper. It just feels like paper. Okay, let's move on to the second pro, because the first one was pointless. The first pro is going to be that it doesn't have batteries, so that's pro. The second pro is going to be that it's cheap, so if you damage it, it's cheap. I mean, it's just a notebook. Unlike an iPad, if for example you drop it, it might break, and it's much more costly. And people tend to not steal notebooks generally. I never heard of someone stealing a notebook, or maybe I did. The last pro for paper, in my opinion, is going to be that it's cheaper in the short term. Very self-explanatory, and yeah, that's pretty much it. These were all the pros I could think of, really. That's all I came up with. I don't know. I'm very biased. Let's move on to the paper cons. The first con is going to be that it's harder to modify things. The second con is going to be that it harms the environment. Come on, don't you like turtles? Come on. Look at that turtle here. Do you not love them? The third one is going to be limited storage. Paper is finite. With a notebook, for example, let's say you get one with 100 pages. What if you had to write 2 or 10 more pages? You'll have to buy another notebook just for that, or write on other paper. Not ideal. With an iPad, ideally you could access the cloud and have unlimited data, or just a lot of data. Another con to paper is going to be that it's heavier. It's heavier when you get notebook and another and another and another. It's obviously heavier. The last con for paper is going to be that it has limited functionalities. Obviously you can't copy and paste using paper. To draw something you need a ruler, and you know what I'm saying. So a very important question here: why would you choose paper? I said many bad things about paper. So why would you choose that? For me, I still think that batteries are still a problem. So if you're not ready to keep charging your iPad, or to charge your iPad maybe daily or every other day, then maybe paper is better for you. I think this is a very valid reason in my opinion. Another reason why you would choose paper is going to be the feel of writing on glass. Try writing on an iPad multiple times before you judge it, because as I've said, I've seen many people hate it the first time they try it, but then it becomes I don't know, it becomes easier for them or something. But that's very subjective, so that's a reason why you might not like to write on paper or use paper as your note-taking mechanism. For me, I actually like writing on glass more, because it feels like it's easier to write on it, so no complaints here. The last reason I can think about is going to be the price. Although iPads are relatively cheap, notebooks are much cheaper initially. So if maybe you don't have enough to get a new iPad, so this might be a reason why you would choose notebooks initially. You can get an iPad later on if you can't get it now. It's not gonna go anywhere. Now, why would you choose iPads? Many reasons. First of all, it's an iPad. Come on. All of your notebooks, all your textbooks, all the books that you want to read, all of them in this device. That's it. Yes, this device has everything. With this pen, you can take all the notes you need. That's all you need. These two. That's it. That's all you need. And actually, for college students, I think this might be more important than a laptop. And it's very light. That's all you have to take with you to college. Obviously now with lockdown, maybe you're watching this after lockdown. If there is an era after lockdown, then listen, it's very, very light. That's all you have to take with you. So the conclusion, it's really up to you. You've heard what I think, and you can think about it. I mean, we all know paper. We all know how to use paper. So that's why I talked about the iPad more than the paper. We all know paper. Come on, we all had notebooks and we know all the pros and cons. So for me, I think the iPad is much better. There's just no competition with paper. Except for the batteries again. That's still a drawback to iPads. So that's the only legitimate reason, or That's the only big reason I could think about. But if you are always close to a charger and you always charge your devices and you don't mind it, then just go with an iPad if you like typing or writing on it. Okay, that was it, guys. I tried to get everything I could think about and to try and give you all the information that you need in order to take a decision now. So if you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in another video, hopefully.